prepare for Shabbat? If so, how far in advance do you prepare? What do you do to prepare for Shabbat?
I normally prepare for Shabbat day before, and what I do is sometimes we have the family over. I go shopping and may buy the challah, the yain, and we have special appetizer which is called gondi, and I prepare that, which is made with chickpeas and chicken breast and other ingredients, and then we have the whole family over and we celebrate Shabbat, and we have a great time together.
How do you make sure that Shabbat is joyous? What brings you joy on Shabbat?
The fact that we have the children together at our dinner table, we do the bracha for, we do the hamotzi, we do the yain, and I look forward to having to sing everyone after a hard week of work, and just keeping in touch with family and the community. That's the joy of Shabbat to my eyes.
What in your Shabbat observance would you do differently if you could?
I would definitely keep Saturdays open if I could have, but with my schedule and my lifestyle, Saturdays are impossible to keep, and to stay home with the kids and walk to temple and come home and relax. That's the ultimate joy of Shabbat, and we've thought about it a lot, but we have not been able to achieve that goal. Hopefully in the future, when we get a bit older, when we don't have so much work, we get to do that.
Elizabeth demonstrates Shamor by staying in the spirit of Shabbat. She prepares for Shabbat and has the family over in order to celebrate Shabbat. Her goal for Shabbat involves not doing any malach on Shabbat, but keeping Shamor, the act of not doing anything that involves creating or destroying. She demonstrates Zachor by reciting the prayers and rituals, and also maintains a positive attitude. She demonstrates Kavod by keeping the dignity of Shabbat by preparing for Shabbat in advance. She demonstrates Oneg by avoiding anything that makes her unhappy. She has a 3-course meal and cooks amazing dishes.
So, I mean, I can't say that every Shabbat is perfect, but there are tons of Shabbats that are Shabbatot that are beautiful and awesome. And I mean, I guess I could think back to like camp when I was a kid, like going to sleepaway camp or a Shabbat in Israel. But like, I don't have one Shabbat.
What makes
Shabbat
Shabbat sweet for you? Like, what certain aspects?
The letting go of the rest of the week, like the letting go of the stress of the week and the daily life, and that it's set apart, and it's a time when like my family in particular, it's the only time that we all come together and stop and just be together as a family. Like we may, have a couple of dinners a night during the week where we like rush through dinner to get to homework or whatever. But Shabbat is the only night where we have a special meal and everybody participates in the preparation of that, and everybody sits down and relaxes and enjoys that time together. And we all express gratitude on that night. Like that's part of our Shabbat tradition, to go around the table and express what we're thankful for. Mm-hmm. And in that time, we reflect upon our past week to like talk about what we're grateful for. And it reminds everybody of what's important in our lives. And so that's what makes Shabbat sweet. And we try and do that every week. I mean, that's not a once in a lifetime experience.
Yeah. What is traditional about your observance? What is untraditional about it?
So traditional is that we always spend it with family and in community, like either with our family or with friends. We don't go out on Shabbat ever. We always spend Shabbat together. We don't shop on Shabbat. We spend Shabbat in a Shabbat kind of way. I mean, if we run out of milk, we'll go to the store, but then in our house when we have a 6-year-old, there's an emergency when you don't have milk. Yeah. But otherwise, we spend Shabbat together as a family, and we really take it as a time of rest and reflection and quality family time and being with friends. So I guess that's the traditional side. We don't go to shul every Shabbat. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. We drive, but we don't drive to go do things that would not be Shabbat-like. I mean, we're doing Shabbat-like things. We use electricity. We don't do any work on Shabbat at all. Like, nobody's allowed to do work in our house on Shabbat, so that's very traditional.
Yeah.
And it's a big thing in our house because we do work every other day.
Miss Cohen demonstrates Shamor by not writing or doing any work for school on Shabbat. Despite this, she still uses electricity and drives. In addition, she is always in the spirit of Shabbat. She demonstrates Zachor by letting go of the stress from the week and joins her family in reciting the blessings and rituals. She demonstrates Kavod by preparing for Shabbat and expresses her gratitude. She demonstrates Oneg by having 3-course meals and spending time with her family. What is challenging for you about Shabbat, if anything?
The challenging part for Shabbat is more in terms of my children, especially my 13-year-old, who, because we're Orthodox, so we don't do anything involving electricity, and we don't travel anywhere. So we basically have to generate our own kind of entertainment for those parts of Shabbat when we're not at the synagogue or resting. So that, I think, is the most challenging part.
How does your Shabbat observance changed over the years? Is that for the better or for the worse?
I don't think it has changed, because not in terms of actually what I set out to do for Shabbat. So I'm Shomer Mitzvot, which means I keep Shabbat, going to the traditional Orthodox way of keeping Shabbat. So still doing very much the same things. Try and have 3 special meals on Shabbat, and go to shul, and rest and be with the family.
Mr. Shine demonstrates Shamor by not doing any malacha on Shabbat, and he is always in the spirit of Shabbat. He demonstrates Zachor by reciting the rituals and blessings, and he also maintains a positive attitude by generating his own entertainment at home. He demonstrates Kavod by preparing for Shabbat with his family, and he demonstrates Oneg by having 3 special meals.